Hello, and welcome to Inland Empire Live, bringing you issues, events, and perspectives from throughout San Bernardino and Riverside counties. I'm Manny Sandoval, owner and news editor for Inland Empire Community News, sitting in for David Brady. And in today's episode, I'll be joined by Lynn Ennis and Philip Gabriel of the Riverside Community Players to discuss its upcoming 100th season in the Inland Empire Theater community. That's today on Inland Empire Alive. We're here with Lynn Ennis and Philip Gabriel of the Riverside Community Players. Thank you both for being here today, and I'm excited to hear about this and celebrating 100 years this coming year, right?
Yes.
Season?
That's right.
Thank you
for
for
having
having
us.
us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. So I know, we just got out of the holiday season and you guys just wrapped up. What show was that?
A Christmas Carol. And it's our annual production of A Christmas Carol. We have done for, Lynn, the last 15 years or so. It's kind of a tradition in Riverside to do every year. And this year we had 2 weekends of it and a very successful run.
Yes.
That's awesome. And so I know in theater, live shows, show to show changes, but how do you guys freshen it up every single year? Is there ever any new additions or changes that you guys make?
We always hire a new director, and each director brings their own unique spin on it. The tale is classic, but the way you tell it can be very, very different and very varied. And in this past production, we hired a director who is very experienced in puppetry. So some of the characters that you traditionally see being portrayed by a human person was actually a puppet, and very elaborate puppets as well. So it was a nice spin on it, and it gave our audiences a different experience.
That's amazing. And so when you speak about audiences, what do the audiences range from? I can imagine, is it children and everyone in between, older crowds as well?
Everyone. We're such a part of people's holiday tradition in Riverside, and we're grateful for that. So we get families that have come for years, and kids, everybody in between. It's one of the
All
shows
ages.
that
Yeah.
really, if they see one show at Riverside Community Players a year, it's probably going to be Christmas Carol. We'd like you to see all of them, but that's usually the one everybody does see.
So we're discussing a show that's coming out in February. What show is that is debuting?
It is the classic Tennessee Williams show, The Glass Menagerie, and it's being directed by Michael Shane Eastman, who is another board member, but a very experienced director. We have a fabulous cast. They're in rehearsal, and we are really looking very forward to seeing that production.
And what's sort of the storyline of that show?
Well, it's a memory play. There's a mother and a daughter, and the daughter is dealing with a disability, and she is visited by a gentleman caller, and exploring relationships. Tennessee Williams is wonderful in writing how people interact with each other, how they love each other, how they hate each other, and it has all of the dramatic elements that you would love to see in a Tennessee Williams play. It's one of my favorite Williams plays, actually.
That's awesome. And so just to kind of add a little more personal touch, I think you guys both have a unique story as to how you got involved in the Riverside Community Players, but then also just in theater, in general. So we'll start with you, Philip. So how did you get involved in theater and then also with Riverside Community Players?
Oh my goodness. So I think my first involvement in theater was, at Coronado Playhouse. When I was growing up, there was a production of The Miracle Worker that I saw there when I was about, 8 or 9. And I think that was the first time I saw a child actor on stage. And I thought, kids can act. And so I did their workshops during the summer. For Riverside Community Players, when I moved to Riverside, I moved in January. And we moved into Riverside over New Year's, and I said, okay, I'm going to get settled in Riverside, and I'm going to wait for a little while, and then I'll probably go audition at Riverside Community Players. So I auditioned January 5th. and I got cast in A Mousetrap, and gosh, that was 12, 13 years ago, and I've been working there ever since, on and off. And I've been on the board for a couple of years now as well.
He also directs shows.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. And Lynn, what about yourself?
Oh gosh. Well, my mother was an actress professionally before she had kids, and then worked in community theaters. And when we lived in Florida, she was in a play called Blythe Spirit, played the role of Elvira. And there is a part in the play that is typically done as a recorded offstage. It's a child ghost that sings Little Tommy Tucker on a recorded whatever. Well, my mom brought me in. I'm 6 years old, and so I sang it on a backstage mic, Little Tommy Tucker. That was it. That was all I did. But the makeup people decided to dress me up in full ghost costume and full ghost makeup, and I got to go out for the curtain call. And I was hooked. And I've been doing theater really ever since, through school, through high school, college. And when we moved to Riverside in 1967, we discovered RCP. And my mom directed a workshop, and my very first time on the stage was playing a background actor in one of her workshops. And since then, I've acted in supporting roles and leading roles. I've also directed 10 main season shows down there, and now I'm on the board. So I'm more working with the administrative side of things, but it's been a long affiliation with the theater.
Well, Lynn directed me. And,
yes, right.
She did.
2 shows, actually.
2 shows, yeah.
He was in.
Yeah.
Full circle moments
Yes.
right there. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. And so when you think of the very first time, obviously you have a very, connection to theater. You mentioned your mother was very involved. Can you think back to that first time when you were on stage? You mentioned, you got to go out for the curtain call. What was running through your mind in that moment specifically, if you could think back?
Oh my gosh, it was such an exhilarating experience, because the audience is always very appreciative, and having people look at you and give you that eye contact and show their appreciation through applause. Sometimes they stood up, which was even nicer. Standing O's are always the best compliment that you can have as an actor. It is a rush. It is an absolute affirmation that what you've done is you've made a connection with the audience, and a positive one, and it's something that you want to do over and over and over again, because it's such a positive, wonderful feeling.
And that's the thing about theater. It's that you get that connection immediately. You get that validation as an actor immediately. It's unlike film. If you're in front of a camera, you don't know. It's in the hands of an editor or a director, or lighting people, and there's all these people running around you. Theater, it's immediate.
That's right.
You've got that connection. There's that energy between you, and there's nothing like
Yeah,
this.
and it's not, you don't wait until the curtain call. You get that during the production, and you can feel the vibe, you can feel the emotion that might be invoked. The last play I did was a very emotional play, and people were sobbing in the audience. Now, you wouldn't think that that's a good thing, but to make people cry, but then you know that you have impacted them and that you've touched them in a way that the message of the play was reached and received.
It's all about that human connection.
Exactly.
Speaking of the human connection, it's been 100 years that RCP, I learned the acronym already, has been connecting audiences with performers for 100 years. Tell me about that sort of milestone, and what do you guys have planned for the future?
Well, we have a wonderful season planned that it will be a retrospective of shows that we've already done.
And we'll be announcing that in a few weeks.
Probably in a few weeks we'll be announcing it, and we're very excited to announce it.
Under wraps for the moment.
That's right. Our audiences in our current season helped us decide which shows they would most like to see. So every show that they would come to see, we had a little ballot, and they voted on shows that we had narrowed to about 5 or 6 in each of the different categories that we do. And we took very much all of those votes into consideration when we made decisions. So those will be plays that we've done before and that audiences want to see. So we're excited about our new season coming up.
That's amazing. And so, we're talking about 100 years. That's pretty historic. So the theater has a lot of, it means a lot to the Riverside community. How did the theater get started in the first place? Take us back to that 100 years. What did that look like?
Well, our founder was, her name is Janet Scott, and in 1925 she formed a drama group, she called it, starting it at the Women's Club.
Women's Club, which I think is still there on 10th Street, isn't it?
I believe so.
Same,
yeah. And the first couple of seasons was very ambitious. I just learned this actually recently. They did several one-act shows in the same season. I think 3 or 4 one acts, and then a month later they did 3 or 4 more one acts. It was amazing. Over the course of the years, they bounced around from the Women's Club. They were at a school that's no longer around. It was on Almond Street, I believe. And they were there for several years until the school district took it over. Eventually, going down the road many years, 1953, we raised enough money to build the building that we currently are in. And not only have we been around for 100 years, but that's 100 continuous years. We have never had a dark season. Through World War II, through Vietnam War. During World War II, the story goes that we would drive out to then March Air Force Base and transport airmen to the theater so they could act in the plays because they didn't have transportation. So those are the kinds of things that happened in order to keep us going and to not shut down at all.
And then during pandemic, we streamed a lot of our live shows. We did it either through a Zoom format or when we were able to go back into the theater and do socially distancing protocols before audiences could come back, we streamed live, so we were able to.
Or did it outside.
Or did it outside, yeah. There were a couple of summers where we did our summer performances outdoors in our courtyard.
Yeah.
So it's actually just through the community support, the support of actors, that come and dedicate their time and tech people, but the audiences, came out and supported us, and they understood all of the things that they had to do to come and see a show, having their temperature taken, having a mask, but they still came and supported us, and we're so very grateful for that.
That's amazing. And so for someone, I feel like a lot of times what holds people back from attending something new or trying something new is not knowing what to expect. So for someone who has not had the opportunity yet to attend a show or attend the theater, what could they expect when they're walking through those doors?
Well, we are very, very unique in that we are a theater in the round. Most theaters are proscenium, so you have the stage in front, and then everybody sits in an area just looking up at the stage. But our audience sits around, and so it's a very intimate experience. When they first get there, they're going to walk right through the set to get to their seats.
In fact, you're sitting farther from us now than some of our actors
Absolutely.
sit from our audience members.
Yeah.
It's a very intimate thing.
Yeah. So that's another claim to fame that we're very excited to share with our audience members. Our audiences are so loyal. We have a wonderfully loyal audience base, but we really would like to bring new people to the theater, so hopefully they'll be able to experience that intimacy.
And we have a lot of different programs. So we have a main stage series of that we call Main Stage, and we do 5 shows a year. In addition to that, we have 2 family shows, which are based for children or for families, the one of which is Always a Christmas Carol, and then we have a family show, and this year it's going to be Magician's Nephew, based on C.S. Lewis's work. We also do a Spotlight series, and that's a show that runs 3 or 4 times a year, and it is one weekend and will feature maybe a new playwright or maybe a work that's a little edgier that maybe wouldn't make it for a 3-week main stage run. But in that way, all of these programs, we try to encompass our community and represent our community.
Another program that we do that we started last summer is a
Right.
summer youth intensive, which we're going to be doing again this summer.
Children's Conservatory.
So
yeah.
it is
Youth Conservatory, actually,
yeah,
teenagers really.
Right. It was very popular last year, and this year we expect to maybe even double the
That's
experience for
amazing.
kids. Yeah.
Well, Lynn and Philip, thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I appreciate the work you guys do for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for having us.
If you'd like to be a guest on Inland Empire Alive, send us an email at guest@iealive.com.